most impressive.
Feel, don't think.
Fear is my ally.
The Force will be with you.
We are encouraged to love. Be mindful of your thoughts.
I will not betray the Republic.
Hey, Your Worship, I'm only trying to help.
Scruffy-looking nerf herder.
I'm not afraid.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
In keeping with the trusty adage, starve a cold, disgust a fever.
So, Forbes strikes again, this time through senior contributing and editor Eric Kane. The Acolyte Rotten Tomatoes score keeps falling, and maybe it should if we ever hope to find balance in the Force. Well, let's dive into it. There's a great disturbance in the Force. When it comes to fandoms, Fiora is divided as Star Wars, where it seems every new release or announcement is met with its very own little culture war. And it's only getting worse, and it's not hard to see why. The vision of what a galaxy far, far away should look like differs wildly from one person to the next. I don't think that's true, but that's a top-down problem in many aspects. Disney's sequel trilogy was a jumbled mess. Even its various creators couldn't agree on where the story was going, let alone what this new revived version of Star Wars ought to be. I'm still baffled that Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams and the rest of the sequel trilogy shot callers didn't come up with a coherent 3-movie story from the get-go. None of us are. It's one of the great unforced errors of modern cinema. So much potential squandered. As a Star Wars fan since as far back as I can remember, it's just another heartbreaker, but hey, somehow Palpatine returned. Since then, it's been pretty much a mixed bag, and that's putting it mildly. The Rise of Skywalker, aka The Rise of Palpatine, was a mess, a hodgepodge of competing visions that left the fandom deflated. On the streaming side, however, things were a little bit brighter. It didn't last. Well, you can actually blame the fandom menace for that, and talks about because they don't want to like anything. He goes after Ahsoka as Dave Filoni's attempt to make the leap from Rebels and Clone Wars to live action never quite worked. What the fuck did you want? Okay. All right. And then, of course, he says Andor stuck the landing. I'm like, Jesus Christ. No, it didn't. It was horrible. But let's go through here. So here's the thing. Even on IMDb, the audience score reflects a growing disenchantment with Star Wars. They're reading it wrong. The Acolyte has a meager 3.3 out of 10 rating. Does it deserve this low of score? Or a 13% user score on Rotten Tomatoes, in contrast to its 85% critic rating? Probably not. Okay, he's playing both sides of the coin here because he probably doesn't want to piss off the wokesters. All right, so he's not attacking the flagrant activism that inhabits this TV show. He rates as same quality as Boba Fett. I thought Boba Fett was okay. And he, likes Andor, which is one of the shittiest TV shows I've ever seen in my life. All right, and he basically says, this is not necessarily a reflection of the Acolyte's quality in a vacuum, however. Yes, it is. And not just a result of years of growing apathy and dismay. People are getting pissed off. So he misinterprets this. These super low scores following a flood of reviews, over 25,000, on Rotten Tomatoes, far more than most Star Wars shows, is referred to as review bombing. And that's a fair description. No, it's not, because it's not review bombing. That's how pissed off people are. But the review bombing has a place in modern online culture. I don't believe it's entirely trolls giving the show bad reviews. I don't think it's a bunch of racists or sexists either. Sure, they are out there, certainly make their unpleasant views known. And, of course, why did he write this? You're looking at the two sleeves right there. This is fired salvo number 2 at Kennedy, and the first one aimed at Headland. But let's talk more.
The word of the day is shitiots, a special breed of people who make stupid decisions and end up in crappy situations. Shitiots.
What an odd combination of odors. Smells like a fish died and all the other fish sent flowers. Someone just drew a pentagram on the floor and chanted, "I summon thee," 3 times.
I just want to say...
No, stop. Not one more crooked word. Your tongue could open a wine bottle.
Paige, it's not like she worships the devil.
Well, she doesn't have to. He worships her.
So this is where Kane goes. Nor do I think we should simply write off these reviews as dishonest or politically motivated. Pablo Hidalgo does that. He is dishonest and an activist. For many of us, there's simply a sense of that the Star Wars we know and love, and have loved for decades, since we are but young Padawans, has been utterly changed for the worse by people who don't understand or appreciate what made this franchise great to begin with. So he talks about a sense of crushing disappointment. He's not a prequel fan, so this is where I stop taking him seriously, because after, the story about going to see The Force Awakens and walking out, nobody's cheering, nobody's happy, kids were asking hard questions of parents, and really the little boys should be out pretending they have blasters and lightsabers, and little girls, should be doing the same thing. Instead, why did he kill his dad? And the dad there that I saw, was my age. Han Solo probably was his favorite character. What they did to him, I think, is an act of genocide, and I'm not kidding. All right, actively destroying a character because of his race and color and sex is genocide, okay? Destroying a piece of cultural iconography like Star Wars is an act of cultural genocide. And what is one of the first things conquering armies do to populations that they want to control? They deny them their stories, they deny them their use of language. Language is a deep part of culture. The stories are where we get our identity from. And women like Kathleen Kennedy want to change that, because the woman obviously thinks she's been treated unfairly by all the men in Hollywood. Okay, that's wrong. Okay, that's wrong. And now we've got Forbes going after The Acolyte full on with how bad it is. And again, Kane is not going after the politics, nor is he going after the politics of the reviewers. I know plenty of Democrats who hate what Kennedy did to Star Wars, hate what she did to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And it's not apathy that I feel. I feel rage, okay? She had the best job in Hollywood, and she took a dump all over the desk. That's what she did, okay? That's exactly what she did. And when you've got somebody at Forbes, and I'm going to say the subtext of this is get it off of Disney+, it being The Acolyte. That's the subtext of this, okay? And let me add one more thing. I think that it would be the best thing for this show if they did do that. Okay? If they did, take it off of Disney Plus. All right? Meanwhile, it came over the news that Leslie Headland has a nonprofit theater called Second Stage, which some of the artistic advisors are, well, one of the artistic advisors, two of them are Ian McKellen and Meryl Streep, and one of the board of trustees is Tony Goldwyn. So she's got to play when you read the liner notes about it, you'll discover it's basically Christian bashing. All right, family comes home for the holidays, and World War III is unleashed because probably one of the girls is a lesbo like she is. So it's basically bashing her family and bashing the faith she was raised in. Okay. But again, we'll go back to The Acolyte. There is no coming back from this score for The Acolyte. The fact of the matter is, you cannot tell me that's all review bombing. And it's part of the modern internet life now. All right? No one wanted this show. It's poorly written, poorly acted, ham-fistedly put together. And that's not even the fucking activism, even if Kane said the cringiest moment in Disney Star Wars was the witches chant. There you go. The Acolyte has to be removed from Disney Plus. Look, I would encourage Bob Iger to think about just pulling it now. No one, it's not going to stop the world from turning if episodes 5 through 8 are never viewed. Okay. This is Steph, signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.